Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Open the textbook. We were learning about the attitude change, the process of attitude change. We learned the concept of balance and also cognitive dissonance. Okay. Now the third one is the two-step concept. Like the next topic, two-step concept. Yes. Two-step concept. It was developed by S.M. Mohsen. S.M. Mohsen. This is the third concept in process of attitude change. Okay, only three theoretical concepts are there to study regarding attitude change. So if a question comes to state the three concepts of attitude change, you have to write these three. Concept of balance, then concept of cognitive dissonance, and this one, two-step concept by S.M. Mohsen. Okay, and here there are two important terms in this concept. One is target, the other one is source. Okay, target and source. These two are very important in this concept. We are talking about attitude change, right? So who will be the target here? Who will be the target?
The person
Person whose,
attitude is to be changed.
yes, the person whose attitude is to be changed. That person is called the target. So who will be the source? Who will be the source? If I am changing your attitude, then that means you're the target and I am the
Other person.
other person or the source, isn't it? Because of my influence, your attitude is being changed. So that means you are the target and I am the source. It's because of the source influence that the target is changing the attitude. Understood? That's the basic concept. So the target, please write. This is the person whose attitude is to be changed. And source, the person through whose influence, person through whose influence the change is to take place. Okay, source and target are clear, right? Yes. Now we'll talk about the two steps. Okay, completed. So the name is two-step concept, right? So attitude change will have how many steps in this theory? It's evident. Two. There are two steps to be followed if if an attitude is to be changed of a particular person. And what is the name given to that person whose attitude is changed? It's the target. And because of whom is the attitude being changed? It is because of the source. That is the concept. Now, in what first step, what happens is in changing the page. Okay. In step one, it is called the identification stage. Identification stage. Write it. Step one, identification. Okay. Identification means not the recognition. Like if we identify something, that means we recognize something, isn't it? It's not that here. Here, what happens is in step one, the target identifies with the source, which means the target is showing an interaction or an very acquainted approach towards the source. The target identifies with the source means the target starts to like the source very much. That target starts to admire the source very much. That is the first step, identification. So what the target does is the target tries to put him or her in the place of the source. Like how would it be to become that person? And maybe the target will start to acquire certain behaviors from the source. See, if you have a role model, you will start to have behaviors similar to that of the role model, isn't it? Yes, you'll start to admire them, and you will start to inculcate so many things which are a part of their behavior into your behavior in your life. Is it not? Yes. So just like that, in the two-step concept, the first step is identification, where the target identifies with the source. The target identifies with the source. Then step two, what happens is the source itself shows some change in attitude. Okay. The source shows change in attitude. Source shows change in attitude. Okay. For example, um, one person, that is the target, is a very die-hard fan of an actor. This is an example. A person, that is the target here, is a die-hard fan of an actor. And this actor has a particular dressing style. Maybe in olden days, they used to wear bell-bottom pants similar to the palazzo. You know about bell-bottom pants? Yeah, fashion study students. Others also might be knowing, isn't it? Yes, it's a very common thing, bell-bottom pants. And maybe this target was again a die-hard fan of this actor in olden times. Okay, and This person also started wearing bell-bottom pants because of this actor, because he is a very die-hard fan again. Yes. Now, one fine day, this actor stopped wearing that. He stopped having a good attitude towards bell-bottom pants because he wants to follow the trend. So he or she started wearing mundu or veshti, or maybe jeans. So this target, what happens to the target? The target also feels to follow that, isn't it? So if somebody comes and asks the target, why are you not wearing the bell-bottom pants anymore? It's because of the influence from the source, who is an actor here. Understood? That's the basic two-step process. Please take the textbook. It's described in page number 113. 113 and 114. Raina, can you read the second paragraph in page 114? It's a similar example.
Consider the following example. Ma'am, from there.
Yes.
Considering the following example of two-step attitude change. Preeti reads in newspaper that a particular soft drink that she enjoys is extremely harmful. But Preeti sees that her favorite sportsperson has been advertising the same soft drink. She has been identified herself with the sportsperson and would like to imitate like her or him. Now, suppose the sportsperson wish to change people's attitude towards the soft drink from positive to negative. The sportsperson must first show positive feelings for her or his fans, then actually change her or his on habit of consuming that soft drink.
Yes.
Step one, perhaps by substituting it with a healthy drink. If the sportsperson actually changes her behavior, it is very likely to that how Preeti will also change her attitude and behavior and stop consuming the harmful soft drink.
Yeah. Finally, the target will also stop consuming that soft drink, isn't it? So what happens is the target here is whom? Preeti, who is a fan of that sports person. So sports person has been giving ads that this soft drink is very good. Or maybe this person has been appearing in the advertisements that promotes this soft drink. So Preeti came to know that this soft drink is very harmful, but she has been imitating. What behavior is that? Imitating behavior, which theory of learning? Albert Bandura?
Observational learning.
Observational learning or social learning. That's a basic concept that ends up in the whole attitude change. Okay. So what happens here? Again, the sports person has to stop promoting this, isn't it? Excuse me. The sports person has to stop promoting the soft drink. So the fans and this person is also showing a positive attitude towards that soft drink. But now it has to change. So the sports person has to change his or her attitude towards the soft drink from positive to negative. And the sports person also has to show some form of, friendliness or attraction towards the fans also. If he is a person or she is a person who is very arrogant with the fans, doesn't like all the fame and all those things, then this attitude change is less likely to happen. Okay, so if they are able to give the correct message to the fans, then finally the fan mentioned here, who is it, Preeti, she'll also change the attitude finally towards the soft drink. That is the basic concept. Now we'll watch a video and come back. It's the same example mentioned. So that was about the two-step concept by S.M. Mohsen. Okay, and this is the third and the final theory regarding attitude change. The first one was the concept of balance. Second one, the concept of cognitive dissonance. Third one is two-step concept. Relatively simple concept. You just have to remember the terms and how to connect it with the attitude change. Okay. Yes. So I think few more minutes are left, isn't it? We'll take a small portion. 117. Turn to page 117. Okay. Attitude, behavior, relationship. Attitude, behavior, relationship. Okay. Talk about an incident. Okay. In a flat, in an apartment, in one apartment, one person lives alone. Okay. And his neighbor sees him wake up every day at 5:30 in the morning. 5:30 a.m. This person used to wake up, come to the balcony and drink coffee. So the neighbor used to see this guy. Every day, each and every day, this person wakes up at 5:30 and he can see this guy standing in the balcony and drinking coffee or tea or something early in the morning. And so this person says his wife, this neighbor says to his wife that the neighbor wakes up early in the morning. I think he's an early raiser in the morning. So do you think this person, that is the person who is standing in the balcony and drinking coffee, is this person an early waker? Does this person have have a positive attitude towards waking up early?
May or may not.
May or may not be. It depends, isn't it? What if the person has a job which is supposed to start at 6 or 6:15 or 6:30, and the person has to rise early in the morning and then drive to the office? Yes, might be because of that, might be because of his or her circumstances. So it's not necessary that the attitude is always shown in behavior, isn't it? Yes, and the behavior that you engage in, it might not be because of the attitude that you hold about it. Might be because of your circumstances also. Okay, so in this topic, we are discussing about attitude behavior relationship, the consistency between attitudes and behaviors. So, we usually expect behavior to follow logically from attitudes. Usually, that is expected. That is, we hold an attitude, because of that, we engage in certain behavior. That is the logical concept that we all have. We have these expectations in our minds. However, an individual's attitudes may not always be exhibited through behavior. Note that point. An individual's attitude might not be always exhibited through behavior. Likewise, one's actual behavior may be contrary to one's attitude towards a particular topic. So, it is not necessary that, see, this is behavior and this is attitude. Attitude, behavior. Okay, it's not necessary that this behavior is caused because of this attitude. It might be because of some other reason. It is not necessary that all the attitudes are shown in behavior also. Okay, so always when you judge a behavior, when you observe a behavior, always note that that person might be engaging in that behavior because of some other circumstance also. Not only because that person has an attitude, a good attitude towards it. Okay. And a person having several types of attitudes, maybe positive or negative, it might not always be shown in behavior. It's not necessary that an attitude that you hold might be shown in your behavior also. Suppose you might have a very bad attitude towards a person. Maybe in your class, maybe one of your teachers, maybe one among your neighbors, maybe one among your family members also. But it's not necessary that you'll tell them face to face, isn't it? Yes, not necessary. Some might not. So it is not always necessary that your attitudes are shown in the behavior, and it's also not necessary that all the behaviors are because of some attitude that you hold. Okay. Then psychologists have found that there would be consistency between attitudes and behaviors when there are 5 points mentioned here. Should I read the first one?
The attitude is strong and occupies a central place in the attitude system.
Attitude should be strong and it occupies a central place in attitude system, which means it should be a vital or it should be an important one to the person. In the whole attitude system, this particular attitude should have a prominent role. Like we might have different attitudes towards different things, but we have certain attitudes which we always hold on to, isn't it? Which are less likely to change. So that is one. So obviously we'll behave according to that attitude, isn't it? Being honest. If you have a very positive attitude for being honest, maintaining honesty, then obviously you'll show that in your behavior. Okay. So second point, Elvina.
The person is aware of her or his attitude.
Yes, if the person is aware and conscious about his or her attitude, then it's more likely to be consistent with the behavior. Okay, Amal, third one.
There is very little or no external pressure for the person to behave in a particular way. For example, when there's no group pressure to follow a particular norm.
Yes. When there is no group pressure, when there is no other pressures on your behavior, you can behave according to your attitudes, isn't it? So there will be consistency between the attitude as well as the behavior. That's the concept. When you have no other pressures, when you're free to behave in whichever way you want, then obviously you will have consistency with your attitudes as well as the behavior. Now, next point, Sneha.
The person's behavior is not being watched or evaluated by others.
Yes, you are behaving as yourself when you're alone, isn't it? Rather than the presence of others. So, whichever attitude you have towards anything in life, if you're alone, you are more likely to behave in accordance with your attitudes. So, that is given here. The person's behavior is not being watched or evaluated by others, then there will be attitude behavior consistency. Then, last point, Meghna.
The person thinks that the behavior would have a positive consequence and therefore intends to engage in that behavior.
Intends to engage in that behavior. If the person thinks that the behavior would have a positive consequence, if there is something positive happening after this behavior, then they tend to engage in that behavior. If you think there is a positive consequence, if something positive will happen after this behavior, then you are more likely to engage in that behavior. Okay, so these are the 5 points that you have to note. All right. Now, there are 2 cases given here. One is regarding the Chinese couple, and the other one is regarding the example that we already learned, the $1 and $20. Okay, we'll just read through the case. Grishma, can you read?
In the days when Americans were said to be prejudiced against the Chinese, Richard LaPierre, an American social psychologist, conducted the following study.
Underline that name and keep. Richard LaPierre. Okay.
He asked a Chinese couple to travel across the United States and stay in different hotels. Only once during these occasions, they were refused service by one of the hotels. Sometime later, LaPierre sent out questionnaires to managers of hotels and tourist homes in the same areas where the Chinese couple had traveled, asking them if they would give accommodation to Chinese guests. A very large percentage said that they would not do so. This response showed a negative attitude towards the Chinese, which was inconsistent with the positive behavior that was actually shown towards the traveling Chinese couple. Thus, attitudes may not always predict actual pattern of one's behavior.
This is an example to prove the fact that attitudes may not always predict actual pattern of one's behavior. So what happened here is Americans, they were supposed to be, or they were, it was known fact that Americans were prejudiced towards the Chinese. Okay, so in the experiment, what was done is these Chinese couple, they were sent in different hotels there, and only just once the people in the hotel refused to serve them or to admit them in the hotel. So after this whole thing happened, this Richard, this person, sent out questionnaires to the managers of all these hotels, and it was shown that they had a negative attitude towards Chinese people. They told that, or from the result of the study, it was observed, or it was noted that they will never allow these Chinese people to stay in their hotel, but actually they did so. Most of them allowed the Chinese couple to be in their hotel. Okay, only once they were refused. So this proves the fact that attitudes may not always predict actual pattern of one's behavior. Okay, so even though they had some other attitude, they admitted them in their hotels, which means the behavior is something different. It was not similar to the attitude of these people. That is one example. The next one is again the example that we have already learned. Who will read? Meghna.
Sometimes it is behavior that decides the attitude. The
Mm.
experiment by Schengen
This proves that the behavior decides the attitude. That's it. Read. Continue.
In the experiment by Festinger and Carl Smith, students who got only $1 for telling others that the experiment was interesting discovered that they liked the experiment. That is, on the basis of their behavior, telling others that the experiment was interesting for only a small amount of money, they concluded that their attitude towards the experiment was positive. I would not have told a lie for this small amount of money, which means that the experiment was actually interesting.
Yes. So because of the because of the behavior that they engaged in, they changed the attitude. And this is coming under which concept of attitude change? Is it two-step concept? Is it concept of balance or cognitive dissonance? Which one is it?
Cognitive dissonance.
Cognitive dissonance. It's coming under cognitive dissonance. Okay. So that's it. Attitude, behavior, relationship. Now we have how many topics to complete? Factors that influence attitude changes spending. Then prejudice and discrimination, strategies for handling prejudice. That's all. Social cognition is deleted, I think, from the syllabus. So with that, we'll complete this chapter also. We have one more hour today, right? So we'll take some more portion. Okay, any doubt till now? As usual. Okay, then we'll wind up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom.